So one of the things I meant to talk about is pain is very real, right? And pain is complicated or worsened by the fact that that aversion, and for me this last little while, the fear. You know, and that tension just makes it worse. That's where the meditation comes in, I think. You know, those guided meditations to really learn to relax and breathe. And this was before I was a yoga teacher. I had endometriosis really bad, and when I was in college, they would just drug me and play me. Ice me, drug me, play me, drug me, ice me. Ice me, drug me, play me, da-da-da-da. And so I had a complete aversion to taking any kind of pain meds or anything like that. And I had a friend over, and I was literally laying on an ottoman trying to press my my stomach in and just kind of rocking and shaking. And she goes, I get that you don't want the drugs in your system, but do you think the cortisol is doing you any better? And in that moment I was like, oh, I hate it when everyone else is right. You know, because cortisol sounds familiar, right? Cortisone, you know, it's the stress hormone. And that runs in your body enough, you're in the constant state of fight or flight. And when we're in fight or flight, we tend to, there's never this. So anytime you catch yourself, you know, really doing that, go to the bathroom, go to your car, go somewhere, and just take a few where you can do 4 or 5 breaths where you're really breathing. And do this with your arms to encourage that opening of the rib cage. So, and then the question was, how do we know what's going on? And I went for years not knowing what's going on. And in those years, I was doing stuff that was making, with stenosis, back bends irritate the crap out of it and will create more stenosis, more osteoarthritis. And I'm doing all these ridiculous back bends, wondering why I can't, even that lying back on a bolster, lovely restorative pose. I was doing that and not being able to walk for 5 or 10 minutes after class. I'd have to sit there and wait to be able to get back up because I was inflaming all the nerves and causing all these problems. So knowledge is power, and if you have good insurance, go get an MRI, you know. Typically with soft tissue damage, an x-ray won't tell you what you need to know. It will tell you there's misalignment here, or gee, the vertebral bodies only have this much space between them, so we can assume that there's some degenerative disc going on. But generally speaking, if somebody has an MRI, it just makes, there's something to knowing what's going on, even in kind of letting your mind kind of relax around it. And not everyone can do that, and not everyone wants to go sit in that machine and so generally speaking, if you're doing something, especially if you're coming to my classes and you start to notice, gee, every time I do X, I'm getting pain. Because a lot of times I can back my way in and figure out what's being annoyed. And then just when you were sharing that with me, so she was working, and she never used to have back pain. And she goes, how do I know if I have disc damage? How do I know that? I'm getting this pain right here a lot. Right here is right here. That's the sacroiliac joint. It's where the sacrum and the spine connect to the hip. And when you walk, you transfer a large portion of your body weight through that joint every step you take. And then if you run, that makes it even. See, this guy has a spastic SI. I got to screw it back in. Maybe I'll just put a screw on your back. And so if someone is constantly having pain on that one side, it's pretty indicative that there is a SI joint issue going on. A lot of yogis also have SI joint problems because we do asymmetrical poses, warrior one with a twist, or extreme side angle, a triangle, standing head to knee pose. Anytime you have one leg forward, one leg back, or a supine twist taking one leg way the hell over with the other leg straight, all of that's going to put shear stress on the sacrum. However, we can stabilize the sacrum And then sometimes it's not a matter of the SI joint being wobbly. It's a matter of the SI joint being, all that tension holding it together. And SI joint problems can happen if someone has one hip that's elevating, like they're constantly standing on one side and shortening the QL on that side. Then as they go through life, their pelvis starts to tilt and there's pressure put on that SI joint. And it's a very ligamentous joint. So once you annoy it, it tends to stay annoyed. It will get better. I've separated mine and it feels much better now, 30 years later. No, I'm just kidding. But it will get better. So the main thing with healing, increasing circulation, stabilizing what's unstable, strengthening what's weak, and working on the alignment. So we will do some poses that will stabilize around the SI joint. Those generally are, we're not going to do prone back bends today because we have some people in here with pretty acute pain going on. We're going to do, but prone back bends will stabilize the SI joint.
I can just watch.
Rolling bridge. That's true, yeah. And that's the other thing. Anything we do, don't feel like you have to do it. That being said, unless you're going to hurt yourself, and then I might be like, no, don't do that. Rolling bridge stabilizes around the SI joint. We'll do a version. I have my favorite pose, Supta Baddha Konasana, bringing the knees together very slowly. There's variations to that will help strengthen the musculature around the SI joint. And then core strengthening. So the question was, if you've had several children and you've had a hysterectomy, having a hysterectomy having kids moves things around in there. And then some of us is not there anymore, so everything's reshifting. So that's why I got the blocks out. We're going to do some core strengthening with the blocks and focused breathing. The other thing is, if you have back pain, check your shoes. Because I learned this when we were going to be going to Peru and hiking, and I was kind of addicted to Motrin because I was between my knee and my back, I was in pain all the time. So I went to REI, love this guy, and he measured, I told him what I was doing, and he goes, well, we just got to get you a good pair of hiking shoes. And he measured my feet, and then he goes, okay, stand up, and he measured my feet, and my feet were a size bigger when I stood up. So my arches were falling. Of course, that's going to affect my knee, my ankle, my hip, my low back, my jaw, every part of me, I got those nice shoes and super feet, which are like these nice arch supports. I did not take a Motrin the entire time. I went back to the store and thanked the guy. I'm like, I love you, man. So notice your shoes. And then the other thing, I'm just going to demonstrate this because we were in Rome a couple years ago. And it's been a long time ago, actually. I was getting a lot of back pain, and there's cobblestones, and I'm sure I wasn't wearing the best shoes because they had to be kind of cute too. And it dawned on me, engage your core. So it's that internal corset. Pull the belly in and lengthen. As soon as I started doing that, the pain went away. So that's one thing to keep in mind as you're walking, keeping that, and especially because you have a little bit of a generous lumbar curve, we tend to do this. You want to pull the belly in, like not drop it so that your butt is tucked, but like there's a little sinker weight on your butt, lengthening the lumbar, and then walking. Really keeping this all engaged is going to make a big difference. And the other thing I catch myself doing, you want to know the quickest way to lose 5 pounds? So, I'll be 6'8" by the time I lose everything. But anyway. Okay, does that answer your question? I think with the core, it's just going to be patience. You can definitely get that core strength back. It's just going to take a while. And again, like when I was in my 20s, I could do 4 sit-ups and I had a 6-pack, That doesn't happen anymore, Anyway, okay. Ergo. Are you guys ready? Yes.
When you do the pose where you your legs open, are you supposed to be tucking your pelvis so that your back's totally flat when you do that, or are you supposed to have kind of a natural curvature in your back when you do that?
That's a really good question. So in the pose Supta Baddha Konasana, bringing the knees together very slowly, the question is, are you supposed to kind of pull your belly in and flatten the back, or let the low back round. And it depends you again. I'll tell you, when my back was bad this time, I could not do that. That's what terrified me. I'm like, okay, the one thing that like makes my day every time I could not even get into. If someone has something acute going on, Kibby, do you mind throwing me one of those purple wedges from behind you? If you have something acute going on, you're going to want to bring pubic bone to belly button. And what that does, thank you. What that does is elongate the lumbar spine and stabilize it. So anytime you have pain, and you have quite a bit of pain right now, you want stabilization. If someone doesn't have that going on, there's value to letting the low back curve be there, and then as you come up it, so that you're getting a little bit of that pelvic rocking as you're doing the movement. With stenosis or osteoarthritis, lying flat on your back can be excruciating, because here I'm going into spinal extension. I feel that in my lumbar because that's where I have issues. So if I'm going to be here, there's a difference between, let me turn so the camera can see me. Here, my low back curve is a little bit rounding. Here, I'm bringing my pubic bone towards my belly button and stabilizing it. If someone doesn't quite have the strength yet, or they're in enough pain that the strength isn't there, putting this here will elongate the lumbar and keep it more stable, if that makes sense. Ah, there you go. See how mean I am? I took it and didn't let you have it. Okay, are you guys ready to do some movement? So we're going to do a low back num-num practice, meaning to keep it safe and happy, and we're not going to get all crazy. And I want to say this because, again, some of what I've learned because I'm dumb, you know, and I've made the mistake over and over and over again. But when I got my MRI, I completely cut out twists because they're contraindicated. And what I've learned, the longer I do this work, a contraindication is a contraindication, but that doesn't mean you never do it. And how likely is it, for instance, if you're a nurse, you never twist in life. And by the way, don't bend over either. You know, I mean, it's just not practical. And there is a yoga teacher out there who says if you're over 40, there are no forward bends. Like, what planet are you on? I don't know how you get through life if you drop your keys, if you know, so we've got to be able to keep enough. And I cut twists out. The oblique, the muscles come to about here, and then the fascia comes almost to the spine. So if I'm not keeping those limber through lateral bends and rotational twists, that's all going to start to pull together. And that's what happened. And it made the pain a lot worse because it pulled and gave my nerves less room. So it's always finding that happy medium. And if I were to do a twist, I don't have to do the one knee twist where you're taking one totally over. That's going to add more rotation. I could bring both knees up, even possibly have a block between my knees because I have fairly wide hips. My SI joint will be tractioned. I'm just going to show you the difference from behind. So if I go into a twist here, look at the rotation in my spine here versus here versus here, or even with a bolster. That's not going to traction as much if I come into this. Now, I could put a bolster under here too, or two. Corinne, I would start with two because you don't want to find out the hard way. You want to inch in a little bit at a time. Today, we're not going to do a twist just because of what we have going on, but I can do a twist here, pretty benign. As soon as I do this, pretty easy to hurt myself. If I'm just using my core strength, much more difficult to hurt yourself. But as soon as you add a lever, then it becomes easy to hurt yourself. So I wish yoga worked like boom, you did it once and it was completely, everything's great. But I'm finding out more and more and more, it's a constant thing, you know? So yoga can floss the spine. I'd say we floss our teeth every day, but I don't, so I'm not going to use that analogy. But we've got to keep care of our back. Thank you.